Hey there my peeps, it is now time for the Raw results / highlights and review video. As always, I'll go over the Raw results, some of the highlights in my opinion, and give you guys my thoughts, my review on the show. So it all kicks off with John Cena coming out, and damn, the crowd, the crowd's really loud, great crowd. And during the promo too, the crowd was just giving it to John Cena, booing him, and chanting Cena sucks, Cena sucks. Even at one point, they're like, you know, this is boring, this is boring. And John Cena would, stop his promo for a short while and acknowledge them, or just, stop talking for a while once they do that, and then go back to it. Anyways, in the promo, he says, The Rock introduced this brand new championship, designed for him, made for The Rock. And John Cena doesn't plan to change that championship once he wins it. He wants to keep that championship as a sign to The Rock that, hey, I'm not only equal to you, I'm actually better than you. And that after WrestleMania, the champ is here. And that's pretty much it if you want me to sum it up in a quick fashion. Anyways, afterwards, Randy, Sheamus, and The Big Show versus 3MB in a 6-man tag team match. The team of Randy, Sheamus, and Orton. Randy, Sheamus, and Big Show, win the match after Randy hits the RKO on Heath Slater, Sheamus hits a bro kick on Drew, and Big Show hits the WMD on Jinder Mahal and pins him for the victory. After the match, Shield's music hits, they come out. But they stay in the crowd, and, they get on the microphone. Dean Ambrose talks first, and Seth Rollins, basically, they say that they can see the truth, and they know that Randy, Big Show, and Sheamus, they aren't really a team, and they're fooling all these people. But the Shield, they can see the truth, and I think they say something along the lines that the team is a scam or a sham or something like that. Anyways, pretty much they say that at WrestleMania, right now they might be celebrating, but at WrestleMania, there won't be any celebrations since the Shield will leave them laying down, looking up at the sky, and that after WrestleMania, you will believe in the Shield. After that, they announced that Del Rio will be facing Zeb Colter on tonight's Raw, and then you see Jack Swagger and Zeb Colter on the streets of Washington, D.C., talking about the matchup and Jack Swagger's America, and how Del Rio will witness change firsthand when a real American Jack Swagger becomes the new World Heavyweight Champion at WrestleMania. And then Jack Swagger goes on to say, if the people don't like that, well, if you don't like that, then you don't deserve to be a real American, or something along those lines. After that, Matt Striker's backstage interviewing Del Rio and his thoughts on what Jack Swagger said and stuff like that. Del Rio says, it's all about freedom of speech. Jack Swagger can say what he wants, but if he doesn't like what Jack Swagger says, then he can do something about it at WrestleMania. And then he talks about his match tonight with Zeb Colter, says that he's like a giant piñata with a mustache, and that is pretty much it. And then Daniel Bryan comes out with Kane for a one-on-one matchup with Dolph Ziggler. Daniel Bryan and Kane had a great matchup. In the end, though, Daniel Bryan was about to lock in the no-like, I believe. And then AJ came up to Kane, started skipping around him. Kane was distracted, looking at AJ. And then Big E comes from behind. Kane turns around, and Big E takes him down with a clothesline. And then Daniel Bryan goes for a baseball slide and takes down Big E. And then Dolph rolls up Daniel Bryan for a quick cover, and I believe he also grabbed the tights. Ref counted 1, 2, 3. Daniel Bryan actually looked like he might have kicked out at the 3 count or just before, I don't know. But the referee counted the 3 counts. Dolph Ziggler won the matchup, and Daniel Bryan was confused at the end, and he was looking at Dolph Ziggler. Big E attacks him, takes him down with his finisher, and then Kane comes in for the save. Big E already hit his finisher on Daniel Bryan, but Kane comes in, he starts attacking, Dolph Ziggler, Big E, he takes down Dolph, and then he's about to chokeslam Big E, puts his hand on his throat, but Big E takes Kane's hand off of his throat, and then actually hits his finisher on Kane, so he overpowers Kane, and Big E and Dolph stand tall, they grab the championships, and pose with the titles. HBK then comes out to give his thoughts on Triple H putting his career on the line against Brock Lesnar. Anyways, he says, after they announced that Triple H's career will be on the line, that's when he had his doubts and questions, and then right away, Triple H music hits, he comes out, and he's like, Shawn, I thought, I already told you this, to not talk about this, or something like that, or that he's in the same situation as Shawn Michaels. HBK says, no, actually, because when he had his career-threatening match, he respected his opponent respected him back, his opponent Undertaker, after beating him, didn't run his mouth about, ending his career or whatever. But in Triple H's case, Brock Lesnar doesn't respect Triple H doesn't respect Brock Lesnar, and blah, blah, blah. And then Triple H is like, there's no use in trying to convince me not to do the match because he's gonna go through it. HBK says, no, that's not what I'm here for. I'm here to tell you that you better kick Brock Lesnar's ass at WrestleMania. Triple H, then smiles, and HBK points out that unlike SummerSlam, he's gonna be in the corner of Triple H to see him beat Brock Lesnar. And if you're not down with that, they got 2 words for you. And then Brock Lesnar's music hits. He comes out with Paul Heyman. And they walk down the ramp a little bit, but they don't get inside the ring, where HBK and Triple H are ready to fight in case Brock, goes in. Anyways, they go back and forth for a while. Actually, no. It's Paul Heyman talking all the time. And he tells Shawn Michaels, are you really sure that you want to be this close to Triple H when Brock Lesnar beats him once again and ends his career and maybe even breaks his arm once again? And in the end, he says Triple H is committing professional suicide. After that segment, Barrett faced off against Zack Ryder with The Miz on commentary, and they announced that their matchup is actually going to be the WrestleMania 29 pre-show. And the matchup, Barrett dominated the matchup, but then he got outside the ring for a while to stare down The Miz or whatever. And once he got back in the ring, that's when Zack Ryder got the advantage. He hit the broski boots, but eventually Barrett hits the bullhammer and wins the matchup. And then after that, Vickie and Brad Maddox are backstage. Santino goes in the office and tells Vickie and Brad that he just saw Vince McMahon and he just came out of his limo or whatever, and he looks really mad and angry, and he's angry at Vickie and Brad Maddox. And when he's angry like that, usually that means he's about to fire somebody. And Vickie and Brad, they're all worried. Santino leaves and then comes back and he's like, one more thing, April Fools. And he starts laughing. Vickie and Brad Maddox don't find that funny. So Brad Maddox whispers something in Vickie's ear. Vickie whispers something to Brad Maddox's ear. And they tell Santino to get to the ring because he has a matchup next. So Santino goes to the ring. And his opponent is Mark Henry. Mark Henry makes quick work of Santino, beating him with the World's Strongest Slam. And then Ryback comes out. And he goes inside the ring. Mark Henry's like, hold up. We've got a no contact clause. And just because you couldn't beat my bench press record on SmackDown doesn't mean that you have the right to so-called threaten me. And he just says, I want to get my hands on you, and I will at WrestleMania. But as for tonight, it's just smiles. And then Mark Henry smiles and laughs. And he gets out of the ring. Well, actually, no. Right before he gets out of the ring, Ryback grabs Santino and just pushes or takes out Mark Henry out of the ring by pushing Santino onto Mark Henry. So technically, he's not touching Mark Henry. Mark Henry's then out of the ring, and then Ryback grabs Santino up in the military press position and throws him outside the ring onto Mark Henry, stating that, hey, I didn't touch him. And then the crowd chant, feed me more, rip Ryback. And that is pretty much it. They then show Jack Swagger giving Zeb Colter some advice backstage. And then Matt Striker interviewing CM Punk, asking him if he thinks he's disrespecting Paul Bearer. CM Punk says the better question is, does he give a damn? And then CM Punk says the only thing he cares about is, the only career or legacy he cares about is his own. And that Undertaker right now is more concerned with Paul Bearer's streak of waking up every single morning, which is, no longer the case. And then he says that he's going to beat, obviously, the streak at WrestleMania. He's going to do something nobody else can do. He brings up the fact that, now that he's in the mind of Taker or whatever, he might get disqualified, he might get himself counted out, and if that takes place, then CM Punk has beaten the streak. And maybe Taker stays on the mat 1 second too long, and CM Punk makes him tap out or something like that. And then Punk says every time someone's going to think about WrestleMania now, they're going to think about CM Punk. After that, Zeb Colter comes out with Jack Swagger for his matchup against Del Rio. When Del Rio comes out, Ricardo's still in his crutches. Del Rio tells Ricardo a couple times, go in the back, for safety or whatever. And he goes down the ramp and gets in the ring for his matchup. And Ricardo comes back, even though Del Rio told him to stay in the back. And, the bell rings. and he's getting closer to Zeb Colter or whatever, but the match really doesn't take place because Jack Swagger was about to attack Ricardo, so Del Rio, he runs towards Jack Swagger, hits a baseball slide or whatever, takes him down on the outside, and then Zeb Colter grabs one of the crutches. Del Rio gets back inside the ring, Zeb Colter hits him with it, so it's a disqualification. Del Rio wins, and then he starts hitting him. Actually, I'm not sure if he tries to hit him one more time, but Del Rio grabs the crutch from him. But then Jack Swagger comes from behind, takes down Del Rio's knee, or his ankle actually, and then both Jack Swagger and Zeb Colter have crutches, so they hit Del Rio like 20-30 times with the crutches, and then they leave the ring. The Rock then comes out for a promo. He gets a promo on John Cena. He talks about his connection with the fans. He says that John Cena's time isn't now, it's never. And he also states that this Sunday at WrestleMania, John Cena isn't only facing The Rock, but he's facing the millions and the millions. Pretty much, in the promo, he says that he's going to beat The Rock once again, and in the end, he closes it out with "If You Smell What The Rock Is Cooking." After that, Chris Jericho came out for a match up against Antonio Cesaro. Pretty good match. Chris Jericho wins with the Walls of Jericho, and during the match, Fandango came out, and he started rating or scoring every one of, not every move, but a bunch of Jericho's moves. So when Jericho would land a move, he would have like a scorecard, with a number on it. 2, 3, 4, whatever. I think the highest one he gave Jericho, the highest rating he gave him was a 4 for a crossbody. Anyways, right after Jericho gets the submission victory, Fandango attacks him while Jericho still had the Walls of Jericho locked on. And then he hit actually 2 leg drops from the top turnbuckle. The first one normally, and the second one, Jericho was actually laying on his stomach, so he hit it on the back of Jericho's head. And then he got on the microphone and said, it's Fandango. Oh yeah, and I'd also like to note before I forget that actually Jericho, during the matchup, he also hit a baseball slide on Fandango. There was a bunch of baseball slides on tonight's Raw. Anyways, after that match, it was the Bell Twins versus Cameron, and Naomi, the Funkin' Dactyls. Bell Twins actually win the matchup when one of the Bell Twins rolls up Cameron for the victory, and the match was actually longer than, most of the Divas matches on Raw. Afterwards, Taker came out to address what CM Punk did and such. He said CM Punk was champion well over 400 days, but the punishment or the pain that he's going to suffer at WrestleMania to the hands of The Undertaker will last an eternity. And that at this state, Taker streak, it might end, but CM Punk will not live to tell the tale that, he beat Taker, whatever. Anyways, then you get the Druids coming out, and they come out, 2 of them with the torches, and they're there on the ramp. And then you hear Paul Bearer's voice saying, "Oh yes," and then you see on the stage initially I thought it was CM Punk dressed as Paul Bearer, and maybe put something, on their shirt or whatever, but it was actually Paul Heyman dressed as Paul Bearer holding the urn. And then the Undertaker gets mad, he takes his coat off, gets out of the ring, and chases after him. Well, he's, Paul Heyman is still on the stage, not moving. Undertaker goes towards him, but then Taker stops for a moment, he looks at the Druids, and he attacks one of them, and it's some random dude, and he's like, what? And then from behind, one of the Druids attacks him, and it ends up being CM Punk. So CM Punk attacks him, and then he grabs the urn, starts attacking Taker with the urn, hitting him with the urn a bunch of times. And then he takes off his, the Druid, attire or whatever. And he keeps attacking, Taker with the same urn. And then he, opens the urn, and there's, sand in it or whatever. So he throws it in Taker's face and pours it all over Taker. And that pretty much ends the show. So as far as what I thought about Raw tonight, I thought it was an okay show. I liked the Daniel Bryan versus Dolph Ziggler match, and I also fairly enjoyed Chris Jericho versus Antonio Cesaro. And I was kind of surprised that The Rock and John Cena they weren't face to face. Each one of them cut their own promos on their own time. Cena in the beginning of the show, The Rock later on, but no face-to-face interaction with The Rock and John Cena. So if I have to give the show a rating, I'd give it maybe a 6. Give it a 6, I'd say 6.5 maybe. Highlight for me, probably Daniel Bryan versus Dolph Ziggler. So anyways, that is it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, as always, you can click that like button. I'd really appreciate it. And also for those of you who have been waiting for a long time for the roulette, it's going to be returning tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. And with that said, I'm out, guys. See ya.